Hi everybody, welcome to EduTap, and the scheme that we are covering today, it is Fisheries and Aquaculture Infrastructure Development Fund. And see, the schemes that we cover, they are we cover such scheme, those are recently news, and because this one scheme was recently news, and that is why we are covering it. And before starting, here's an announcement for all the aspirants who are preparing for central regulatory bodies. We have come up with one-stop solution guide to all the queries that you must be having regarding the organization that you would want to join. For example, if you want to know more about RBI, NABARD, SEBI, what are their role in India's economy, what are the hierarchical structure that goes there, right, and all those things, everything has been comprehensively covered. Along with that, everything about the recruitment process, how many phases are there, what is the pattern of each phase, and what sort of questions are asked, what is the previous year trend of cutoff, it says about the difficulty level of the examination, what is the syllabus, eligibility criteria that is required to even appear for the examination, and whatnot. Again, everything has been covered, and at the end we have given you some steps that you can follow on your own if you're going for self preparation, and then you can with free mind prepare for this examination. So do not miss the opportunity. You can download these e-guidebooks free of cost from the link that is provided in the description box below. Alright, so see, why are we covering this particular scheme? Because if you look at it, it is the PIB news of 12th of December 2023, and there this particular scheme, this particular news, it talked about some of the schemes that are currently running under the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, which is catering to the development of fisheries infrastructure in India, for the development of this fishery sector in India. Okay, so there were three schemes that were majorly, here were three major schemes that were highlighted. First was your integrated development and management of fisheries. Okay, another one was your the most famous one and the most favorite of NABARD, even in from RBI perspective. Dekho, agriculture, it is part of your RBI syllabus as well, right? So the schemes that are catering to the development, I think these are the ones that you can read it for once. Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, and this third one that we are currently doing today. And because it's scheme all about, let's just understand. Okay, if I give you just brief idea from the name itself, you can have an understanding, right? We are talking about infrastructure, and there we are targeting in this particular scheme. One is fisheries sector and another is aquaculture. Okay, so what's the difference? Let's understand that also. Dekho, fisheries, first of all, it just signifies of related to fish. Okay, yeah, fishes. Aquaculture, it's a broader term. When we say aquaculture, it includes other aquatic organism also. For example, prawns. For example, we have what else are being eaten? Prawns, crabs, right? Whatever be the aquatic organism that are consumed by humans, those are, we have to focus on those. And why government is doing a lot on that? Because currently we are focusing on blue economy, right? What is this blue economy? Blue, basically water. From there this term blue has been derived. In blue economy, the aim of the government, it will be to develop the water resources we have. What does it mean? India says that we still have not achieved the full potential of the water resources. When this scheme was launched back in 2018, at that time the fishery sector, it was just contributing 1% to the overall GDP. And even after so much efforts, if the latest data we look at, that is of 2021 2022, which I could find on internet, this was the latest data that I could find. The total contribution was somewhere around 0.06 4, something around this much, right? So you can see that still, even after so many years, we are able to achieve only this much. We could achieve only this much percentage, right, to overall GDP. But government is focusing a lot on that, and government wants to utilize the resources. We have good water resources available, right? The lower portion of India, it's all the water that is available there, and even the riverine system in India is very strong. And here in when we talk about fisheries and aquaculture, it is not just the oceans that we are talking about, but from the fresh water also, whatever the organism that we can derive and we can contribute to our export, or even for the consumption, right, to get the benefit out of it, we are focusing on that. Means government is focusing on that. So this particular page, if you look at it, here you can look at, there are various infrastructure that is required for fisheries or for doing aquaculture, right? So under the scheme, what will be done? Loan will be provided. Okay, loan will be provided to the eligible beneficiaries, okay, and so that they can create such infrastructure, and the blue economy can achieve its object, or you can say to boost the fisheries and aquaculture aquaculture in India, the particular scheme, under the particular scheme, loaning will be provided to the eligible beneficiary. ठीक है, सीधी सीधी सी बात है. ठीक है, and why we have to come up with another scheme? Because देखो exclusively if the eligible beneficiaries, which we will understand in a while, but first let's understand this concept. If they go to the bank to take loan, they might not get that enough, right? Because the fish, mostly the people engaged in fishery, they are not fresh water system. ठीक है, as you can see यहाँ पे side में पेड़ वगैरह है, ये natural आपका, it can be देखो pond also, it can be your river also, but fresh water में भी you require some equipments, right? Or you can artificially you can rear you can cultivate the fishes, right? But for everything you require an infrastructure, and under the scheme that will be given. ठीक है, this is the basic idea. Now what things to remember? Now the things to remember is certain data that is associated. For example, when government must have come up with this scheme, they must have some target inside their head, right? That we have to achieve this target. Similarly, when we are talking about loaning, so there will be some caps that will be given by government, right? So these are the things that we have to memorize under the particular scheme, and that is what we are going to do, right? Starting off, the launcher of the scheme is 2018. So in the financial year 2018-19, this particular scheme was introduced. 2018 is a financial year. Ministry we already know by now, that is Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying. ठीक है, अब देखो, if you look at this particular ministry name, it includes your fisheries also and animal husbandry, means livestock also, right? Livestock में खैर वैसे अब बहुत documents में देखोगे fisheries भी include होता है, but animal husbandry means we are talking about cattle, we are talking about sheep, goats, right? Pigs. So here what happened under this ministry, Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry and Dairying, you will find various department. You will find Department of Animal Husbandry, you will find different Department of Fisheries, right? So when we are talking about the expansion or strengthening the infrastructure of fisheries, so of course under this particular scheme the overall ministry is this, but under this particular ministry the Department of Fisheries will be responsible for the implementation. ठीक है, अब Department of Fisheries also have various subsections. ठीक है, so under that there is the National Fisheries Development Board. ठीक है, कंफ्यूज मत होना, द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फिशरीज, एनिमल हस्बेंड्री एंड डेयरिंग. ठीक है, एंड डेयरिंग इज द मिनिस्ट्री, राइट? अंडर दैट देयर आर वेरियस डिपार्टमेंट. ठीक है, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ फिशरीज. ओके, एंड अंडर दैट ऑल्सो देयर विल बी वेरियस सेक्शंस, राइट? वेरियस बोर्ड दैट विल बी फोकसिंग ऑन डिफरेंट ऑब्जेक्टिव, राइट? सो अंडर दिस डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ फिशरीज इज वन सच बोर्ड which is the National Fisheries Development Board. Okay, and this is their office. It looks like this, right? Quite impressive, right? So it's in Hyderabad. Okay, so it's in Hyderabad. So this National Fisheries Development Board is the one which will be actually implementing the agency at the ground level, right? And will be taking care of that. ठीक है, तो National Fisheries Development Board को ध्यान रखना, it is the implementing agency. ठीक है, it is your implementing agency. Now let's move ahead and talk about the aim. So aim that we have already understood, we have to provide, देखो अब इसमें लोन तो मिलेगा, right? But we have to keep in mind that government will be focusing on to provide concessional finance, right? What if they have made the pavement clear that it will be easier from the banks to take loan, right? But still the person, the beneficiary, if we talk about especially the fisheries community, they cannot afford to take that much of loan and that much interest, right? Or maybe they do not have money to even, you know, some asset with them, collateral to give them to that, right? So here of course that is one thing, that loaning will be provided, but the government will try to provide them at the concessional rate, right? And this will also attract more of the people or stakeholders to join this particular initiative, or you can say revolution, right, in the blue economy. So concessional finance will not only help the people who are already into the business, but it will also attract more people to open their business in the fishery sector, right? So that is why concessional finance will be provided to the eligible beneficiaries. देखो eligible beneficiaries, if we talk about, no, anybody who is engaged or who wants to engage in fisheries will come under that, right? So now even if that includes individual farmers, even if that includes NGOs, even that includes cooperatives, self-help groups, whatever, private institute, if it wants to come, anybody who wants to work on fishery sector is welcome. And you know, in fact the state government also, if they want to set up, right, many state government, they set up their own infrastructure, right? Maybe that could be to help the people, or maybe they want to have some business of their own, right? That can be the case. Anybody, whoever is involved, be it a government entity, be it a private entity, right, or individual entity, all are invited to get the concessional finance if they focus into the fishery sector, or if they want to develop infrastructure. ठीक है, अब tenure क्या है? So we understood this scheme came in 2018, right? सो हेयर द सेम थिंग हैज़ बिन गिवन, राइट, ठीक है, इस सेम चीज़ लिखी हुई है. सेकेंड इज टेन्योर क्या है, तो 2018 में आई थी, लेकिन कब तक के लिए थी, 22-23 फाइनेंशियल ईयर तक. सो नाउ वी आर इन 23-24 फाइनेंशियल ईयर. सो व्हाई आर वी स्टडिंग अबाउट इट, राइट? सो देखो, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट टिल दिस टाइम पीरियड लोन विल बी गिवन टू एंटिटीज, राइट, बट देन लोन हैज टू बी taken back also, right? So this particular scheme, if this 22-23 tenure is till when the concessional finance will be provided to people, right? Now the money is with the entities currently, with the beneficiaries currently, but this scheme will always win in news until we get back the money. ठीक है, तो 22-23 तक कितना क्या करा, लोन दिया गया है, ठीक है, बट अभी वो वापस भी उसको लेना है, ठीक है. फंड साइज क्या है? सो हेयर सम फंडिंग वुड हैव आल्सो बीन प्रोवाइडेड, राइट? सो ओवरऑल फंडिंग विच गवर्नमेंट सेड दैट अराउंड लाइक in this tenure which is 2018 to 23, the government said that around this 7,522.48 crore that will be used, ठीक है, government said. But government did not say that this everything we will pay. Government said that overall this much money will be invested in infrastructure development. Nowhere they said that this money we only will provide, right? So they said that under this, because loaning will be given, and of course government whenever you go for loan, you mostly you can't go for 100% of loan, right? Some part of the project you have to pay for yourself, right? So government gave an overall idea that overall under the scheme 7,522.48 crore will be invested, but on what ways, right? By the nodal loaning entities, around 5,000 crore will be provided by them, ठीक है. Beneficiary will also contribute to their own project, right? So under this, around 1,300 crore is expected that beneficiary will give contribution to the projects that will be established. So what is being, if I say overall, that itna money, that is around 7.5 thousand crore, this will be the overall investment in the infrastructure, right? But this investment somewhere around 5,000 will be done by the nodal loaning entities, around 1,000 will be done by the beneficiaries contribution, and around the subsidies that will be provided. देखो concessional की बात कर रहे हैं ना, तो government will provide some subsidies, so that will be somewhere around 900 that will be provided by the government of India. I hope these things you have now clarity. If you do not have, please ask me, I'll clear that, ठीक है. Objectives we have already understood. We either creating the new infrastructure or the already that is there, ठीक है, उसको modernize करना, ठीक है. Of capture and culture fishery infrastructure. Now what is this capture and culture? देखो, capture are the fishery which the fish or the organism that has been captured from the natural environment. For example, if this was a river flowing, we know in river fish they flow, right? So if a farmer is capturing these fishes from the natural environment, this is known as the capture fisheries, right? What is culture fisheries? If the farmer artificially he has created a pond and he has artificially added seeds of fishes, artificially means manually by themselves, not in the natural way. They have bought some fishes, they have bought some fishes, and then they have kept they then they put it in the water, and then they are doing the proper rearing, and then they are harvesting it. That is known as the culture fisheries. Capture means capturing from the natural environment. It can be fresh water, example river. It can be from the oceans as well, right? So that is the capture fisheries. Culture is when you are creating the artificial environment for the fish to rear, ठीक है, that is the culture fisheries infrastructure. So both sort of infrastructure, the funds can be taken for it, ठीक है. Creation of marine aquaculture infrastructure, right? In the first slide also I showed you like how it was a marine environment, ocean, and there you could find the cage culture that was there, right? So some of the fishes, there are different type of fish. Some prefer freshwater environment, some prefer salty environment, and that is why they can thrive in the marine environment only, right? So that is why creation of marine aquaculture infrastructure is equally important as creating the this inland culture, ठीक है. inland में आपका fresh water आ जाता है, ठीक है. इनका classification है depending on how much salt percent it is there, ठीक है. Creation and modernization of inland fisheries. Marine means salty, inland में आपका क्या आ जाता है, fresh water आ जाता है, ठीक है, inland, ठीक है, inland means this is a land portion. Oceans are usually they occupy their own space, right? If this is the land, oceans they occupy their own space. Inland means in the land there are some areas where fresh water is present. It can be in the form of ponds, it can be in the form of rivers, it can be form of anything, right? And another is brackish water is also there. देखो brackish water में क्या होता है ना, इसका जो salt percentage होता है, it is somewhere between fresh water and marine water. Fresh water में it should be less than I'm sorry, it should be less than 1 ppm, 1 parts per million, ठीक है. brackish water में somewhere around 1 to 30 ppm चल जाता है, and marine water में more than 30 parts per million जो होता है सॉल्टीनेस प्रेजेंट होती है, सॉल्ट प्रेजेंट होता है, ठीक है. तो इनलैंड फिशरीज में आपका फ्रेश वाटर एंड ब्रैकिश वाटर आ जाता है, तो उसका भी हमको वी हैव टू फोकस ऑन दैट, राइट. तो इन ऑल काइंड ऑफ फिशरीज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड, दैट वी नो, ठीक है. एंड नॉट ओनली टिल द हार्वेस्टिंग बट आफ्टर पोस्ट हार्वेस्टिंग ऑल्सो, टू रिड्यूस द लॉसेज वी हैव टू क्रिएट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी हैव टू हैव प्रॉपर logistics, right, so that if you have harvested fisheries it should get to the consumer before it gets deteriorated, right, before it degrades, right, because these are all perishable items, right. So to take care of that, to have cold storage, ठीक है, cold storage facility. cold storage में क्या होता है, temperature is very very low, lesser than that of a refrigerator, right. So no, not that, not that, ठीक है. But cold storage provide ambient temperature where these products can be kept until they are ready to be sold into the market, ठीक है. And of course under this, whatever the pre-existing infrastructure is there, so whatever the resource that were already into making, but because of the deficiency of fund it could not go, so here this bridging would also be done, ठीक है, and completion of the ongoing infrastructure project. All in all it's about creating the infrastructure, ठीक है. Now target, as we discussed that there must be some targets also. So the first target is कि कितनी growth करनी है, percentage growth कितनी करनी है, ठीक है. So growth of around 8 to 9% is was expected or said under the scheme when this scheme was launched, that 8 to 9% to achieve fish product कि हमको growth इतनी करनी है. And there was a target that by 22-23 20 million tons इतना हमको achieve करना है, ठीक है. If we look at the latest report, it is somewhere around, like जो latest report I could find, again it was of 21-22 time period, ठीक है. तो उसके according we have achieved somewhere around 16 point something, ठीक है, 16 point something percentage that we have achieved by now. It was 16.64 or something like that, ठीक है. So we are very close to the target, right, although it was expected that 20 million tons would have been achieved by 22-23, but we could achieve somewhere around 17%, right, but it is near to that, right, not percent but 17 million tons type, ठीक है. अब इसमें nodal agencies कौन सी होगी, देखो. So we have discussed that there will be, you know, various, anybody who is engaged in the fishery sector, be it your government entities, be it your private institute, be it your groups, ठीक है, cooperatives or SAGs, all are involved, right. So now all cannot go to just one sort of agency to buy to claim for the loan, right. So that is why different agencies, 3 agencies will work, which will cater to different and beneficiaries. For example, NABARD will directly, it will provide fund to the states and UTs government projects, ठीक है. अब in case of cooperatives हो गया आपके, ठीक है, जैसे cooperatives या federations हो गए, societies होंगे, अगर ये आ गई तो वो किससे मांगेंगी, नेशनल कोऑपरेटिव डेवलपमेंट कॉर्पोरेशन से फंड क्लेम करेंगे, मांगेंगी. एंड इफ प्राइवेट बेनिफिशरीज, ठीक है, या कोई इंडिविजुअल है, ठीक है, इन प्राइवेट ऑल्सो देर कैन बी अ कंपनी, देर कैन बी इंडिविजुअल फार्मर्स, राइट. सो दोज कैन गो फॉर द शेड्यूल्ड बैंक्स, ठीक है. सो देर आर 3 nodal lending agencies. NABARD will directly fund to state and UT governments. All the cooperatives will go to National Cooperative Development Corporation, and all the private beneficiaries and the individual entrepreneurs, they can go to the scheduled banks, ठीक है. I hope it is clear till now. Just talk about the infrastructure development. The target was 8 to 9% of growth, 20 million by 22-23, ठीक है. Nodal agencies, NABARD directly will give to states, UTs, NCDC will give to the cooperatives, and the private players can go to the scheduled banks to claim the offer, ठीक है. Now we state कि concessional loan मिलता है. So we have understood the agencies. Now the eligible beneficiary know where to go, right. But when we talked about concessional loan, so what are those key features? Now let's understand, ठीक है. First of all, we have to understand that this scheme is for all the states and UTs. It is eligible for everywhere, ठीक है. अब इसमें गवर्नमेंट कहती है it's not going to be like that, everything you can take as a loan, maximum up to whatever be the project cost will be, ठीक है. up to 80% loan you can take from the bank, rest 20% you have to invest your own money as a beneficiary. Now when we say 20%, here we are talking about individual farmers also, or even the states and UTs want to the government, they want to have some money under the project, they can still, they would have to use 20% of their own money, and they can up to eligible for 80% of the overall project cost. Okay, I hope you understand this. ठीक है, beneficiaries have to contribute at least 20% of it, right? अब इसमें क्या होगा, लोनिंग कितना होगा? ठीक है, पहले तो lending rate of interest देखो, these institutes or entities which will be lending you the money or beneficiary the money, of course they would want to have profit also, right? So they would be charging you some percentage. So it's being said कि 5% per annum जो है lending इतना आपका अप्रॉक्स आपको मिलेगा, ठीक है? एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट देखो, वैसे तो कोई भी आप कहीं पे भी जाओगे, 10 to 12% is the on an average rate of interest that is charged on the loan, ठीक है? तो इसमें क्या है, तो ये चीज़ आपको ध्यान रखनी है। और इसमें बोला कि अब इसमें एक हाइपोथेटिकल सिचुएशन ये है, मान लो किसी बैंक ने, सम बैंक इज चार्जिंग यू लेस देन 5%, 2%, 3%, in that case you need not, as a beneficiary you need not need much of the support from the government, right? But it is if more than 5%, in that case क्या होगा, आपको interest subvention कितना देगा? Interest, what is interest subvention? That for example if you are getting 10%, if you are being charged 10% of rate of interest, this 3% will be given by the government. So how much you would have to charge, you would have to pay 7%, right? So interest subvention is on the rate of interest how much government is aiding you और द एज अ बेनिफिशरी, ठीक है? तो यहाँ पे कितना है, वो 3% है पर एनम। एंड प्लीज कीप इन माइंड दिस विल बी ओनली फॉर सच एंटिटीज हु विल बी रीपेइंग देयर द लोन ऑन टाइम। ओनली टू द पीपल हु विल बी रीपेइंग देयर लोन ऑन टाइम दे आर एलिजिबल फॉर द इंटरेस्ट सबवेंशन, ठीक है? कितना है, 3% है। कितना, 3%। प्लीज कीप दिस इन माइंड। मैक्सिमम हाउ मच परसेंटेज ऑफ लोन दैट यू कैन टेक ऑफ द टोटल प्रोजेक्ट कॉस्ट, यू कैन टेक 80%। एटलीस्ट 20% हैज टू बी ऑफ द बेनिफिशरी। कितना इंटरेस्ट सबवेंशन मिल रहा है, 3% मिल रहा है। दैट इज ऑल्सो यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड, ठीक है? अब लोन लेंडिंग पीरियड कितना है, मतलब दिस स्कीम लॉन्च्ड इन 2018-19 एंड वी अंडरस्टूड टेन्योर वाज टिल 22-23, तो 5 ईयर का लोन लेंडिंग पीरियड था। मतलब कि इन दीज 5 years आई कैन गो एज अ बेनिफिशरी टू दीज एंटिटीज एंड दे कैन प्रोवाइड मी लोन अंडर दिस पर्टिकुलर स्कीम, ठीक है? इस पर्टिकुलर स्कीम के लिए लेंडिंग पीरियड कितना था, 5 ईयर था, ठीक है? अब मैक्सिमम रीपेमेंट पीरियड, तो लोनिंग पीरियड 5 ईयर, मतलब कब तक एंटिटी दे विल प्रोवाइड द लोन अंडर द स्कीम। नाउ आई वुड हैव टू पे बैक द लोन ऑल्सो, राइट? नाउ इट विल डिपेंड बिकॉज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट बिग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ओवर हेयर, सो इट माइट डिपेंड दैट इट माइट टेक मेनी years to, you know, for the money that I have taken from the bank to repay them, right? So that is why here maximum repayment period have been kept for 12 years and it includes 2 years of moratorium also। देखो यहाँ पे दो चीजें समझते हैं। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल व्हाट इज moratorium period? This is some, you know, resting period you can say, which the bank or the loaning entities it provides to you। देखो, if I have taken loan for something, it's not necessary, no, I am going to get the profit from the next month only, right? For example, here I am creating the infrastructure, at least I required some months or maybe years to recover from the money that I have invested and for the profit to get back to me, right? So that is why this is the resting period that is given by the loaning entities, right? Agencies, where they don't take back money from you, right? So this is known as moratorium period। So how much year of moratorium period you will get? 2 years, means whenever I have taken loan in this 5-year tenure, for next 2 years I would not be paying back, right? But the overall money I would have to pay within 2 years, and inclusive means, तो मतलब 2 साल I cannot give, I don't give anything, but after that in 10 years I have to pay everything, राइट? सो दैट इज वाई दिस 12 ईयर इंक्लूसिव ही हो जाएगा। इंक्लूसिव ऑफ मोराटोरियम पीरियड समझ में आ गया? मतलब 2 साल तक वेन एवर आई हैव टेकन लोन फॉर 2 years आई एम फ्री टू नॉट पे बैक, राइट? बट देन आफ्टर दैट विद इन 10 years आई हैव टू पे बैक द लोन, राइट? बिकॉज दिस 12 years इज इंक्लूसिव ऑफ दिस 2 years ऑफ मोराटोरियम पीरियड, ठीक है? आई होप इट इज क्लियर, ठीक है? नेक्स्ट, लोन विल नॉट बी प्रोवाइडेड फॉर द एक्विजिशन ऑफ लैंड एंड वाटर बॉडीज। वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। देखो, इफ यू हैव लीज्ड एनी लैंड, इन दैट केस इट इज फाइन, ठीक है? देखो, मान लो if you have already leased before entering the scheme, you have already have a leased land or maybe water bodies, in that case you are eligible, ठीक है? But if you are going फॉर टेकिंग लोन, देखो यहाँ पे आपको ना प्रोजेक्ट दिखाने पड़ते हैं. इन दिस पर्टिकुलर स्कीम यू वुड हैव टू शो द प्रोजेक्ट. इफ इट इज डूएबल यू कैन टेक लोन, राइट. So first of all, proper scrutiny of your project will be done, ठीक है. And after that only you will get the money, because nobody wants to, to have a loss, right? So neither the lending institute and not the government would want to back up some sort of infrastructure, right? So that is why you would have to first show the project. So if you're going to this for taking loan under the scheme, and you are saying that I want to acquire this land so that I can do agriculture or fisheries, you will not get the money, right? So I hope this line is clear, that loan you will not get for the acquisition of land or the water bodies, right? For that you if but if you already have, for example, I was a fisheries farmer, so what I did, I leased a land, okay, way back, okay, I leased a land, and then I thought, okay, now under the scheme what I can do, I can take more money to have an infrastructure, right? So then in that case it may be considered. Again, may be considered means it will depend on what project you have come up with, and will it be profitable in future or not, okay? So if I have a leased land, then in that case my project may be considered and may be accepted, right? But I cannot take loan under the scheme for acquisition of any land or water bodies, okay? I hope that is clear. Now there are some small things, okay? Anybody who can take, they cannot take the financial assistance for the infrastructure development for more than one scheme. So it's not like that, that you have already taken under Matsya Sampada Yojana, for some activity you have taken loan, and then you are again coming up with under the scheme that I want to take loan of it. नहीं, एक के अंदर आप benefits ले सकते हैं, ठीक है. No limits of number of units area. What does it mean? देखो, you can take loan under either of the schemes, right? But there is no limitation to how much area or for how much unit you can take loan. It can be, for the maximum area, maximum possible area, or the smallest possible area. So there is no minimum or maximum criteria that for how much area or units you can take, ठीक है. And of course there are going to be some benefits for the scheme. Employment generation होगा, ठीक है. And जो private investment होंगे, they will also be attracted because concessional rate में you are getting loan over here, right? So these were some of the things that you have to keep in mind. Launched in 2018 till 22-23 financial year, it was that for 5 years. But the scheme will still be in use, because for 12 years you get 12 years to pay back the loan, right? And it includes your 2 years of moratorium also. What else we studied about it? It talks about all the infrastructure scheme. Yes, another thing that you can keep in mind is the interest subvention. It is how much that will be given by government, 3%. And only if you are repaying the loan on time. And apart from that, what else you have to memorize in that? Yeah, you cannot take loan under more than one scheme, and very important is you cannot take loan under the scheme for the acquisition of a land or water body, right? It is if you already have, even if the leased one, right, even if it was leased one you already have, then you can claim under the loan, but not for it, right? And this was again the news, right? You can read, and this is a homework for you all. Try to attempt this particular question, and these are the toppers of the last session. Shorish said the right answer, and welcome Shorish. Then we have Akhil saying the right answer. Then we have Anand saying the right answer, Ronak saying the right answer, we have Priya saying the right answer. Sakshi, you will get the PDF from our Telegram channel. You can subscribe to our Telegram channel, and there you will get the PDF. And lastly, Diya, yes, I took your suggestion, and this time I decided that whatever be in the schemes document, the scheme will go, and this one also was picked up from that only. I hope now you would have clarity, and I like the suggestion, I followed it. Thank you for the suggestion. And that is all in this video. If you have any doubt, any query, do write to us. We'll definitely reply. You can comment it down, or ask in live session. I could see 1-2 questions that are there, okay? I'll just answer. And to get the PDF of this and every lecture that we provide, you can join our Telegram channel. So that is all. I can see question H, good morning, and I can see Shubh, by when will NABARD Grade A result will be released 2 days ago, right? देखो Shubh, देखो for first phase also they took around 15-20 days, right? So it might be anytime soon only, because then the third phase, that is the interview that has to be done, right? So it can be expected, but it is something that is unpredictable, and especially with NABARD, they take quite a time, right? So but within a week or 2 weeks the result is expected. I have sent a connect request with you on LinkedIn. Have you queries regarding regulatory? Can you connect there? Okay, sure. Actually, I'm not active on LinkedIn, right? So maybe because of that reason, I'm not able to see your concern, right? if you have like such queries, what you can do, you can mail us, right? You can just you can write my name, and the support team, they will directly they will forward it to me, and then you can connect me via the email ID that I have, right? Thanks for these sessions. Welcome, Shubh. Okay, so that is all. Okay, thank you everybody for watching the session, and we'll come again with another scheme that was in news, and we'll try to comprehend it in a simpler manner. Until then, all the very best for examination, and thank